How's it going? I'm Ryan. Today I'm going to go over the three trades that I took. I took two trades on NQ and one trade on ES. First trade was on NQ. That was a loser. I took a trade on ES shortly after that. Was a win. Brought me just under break even. Stepped away from the computer a little bit, came back later in the day and took one final trade on NQ that brought me to a positive day overall. Before we get into that, we're looking at the daily time frame. You can see we had a massive dump that happened in the last part of the day today. Otherwise, we're trending up, but huge sell-off today. So will be interesting leading into tomorrow and kind of next week as well. See how things change. If we put in the top and we're in for a bit of a pullback, we still have this kind of swing low in here, maybe to defend. We'll see. Before we get into the trade, I'll look at some of the levels that we were watching, and I'm not going to get into every single one of them because there are a lot. But we have some general zones, kind of this support area in here that came into play later in the day. Mostly that I was trading, we were watching this pre-market high. We were watching yesterday's high a day in here. And we were watching this zone in here from like 18,495 to 18,500 or so. I'm just gonna jump right into the trade. I will say we'll take a look at it in just a second, but so to start the day, rejected off this zone, kind of failed to close above that pre-market high, sold all the way down and started chopping around in here. We had this resistance. I'm gonna draw it here for us. We had this resistance in here that I was watching on the 5-minute. And as we started to hold this zone and kind of form a bit of like a double bottom, triple bottom in here, where we had formed a low on the day and we're not breaking lower, in fact, making slightly higher lows, I was watching for us to break out of this trend line, hold this level, and continue up. And why was I watching for us to hold this level? Let me back it on up here. So this level is right in here, and you can see acted as strong support here, resistance when we were below it in here, support early, resistance here and here. So kind of a strong level of confluence there where we saw a lot of price action. So I figured if we could hold on and hang out in this level, break out of this downtrend, we might see a move to the upside. So that led me to my first trade of the day. I took a call, or not a call, but I took a long position on MNQ. My entry was right at 18,500. So I set a limit order right at 18,500. My stop was at 18,490. So I had a 10-point stop to the downside, and my target was right here at 18,530. Well, let's talk about why my stop was there, why my take profit was here. So I'm gonna remove this. If I draw a level right here, you can see it's pretty clear that we held this early in the morning, right? We had 1, 2, 3, 4 candles, so 20 minutes in the morning where we couldn't break below it. Once we did break below it, we came up and got 1, 2, 3 tests of this level before selling off and creating new lows. So this level right here, this 18,530, was kind of a big level intraday, right? That was a level where we were seeing a lot of price action during the daily, I guess during the trading session. Where my stop was right in here. And I could have put it below the low of the day. I could have put it below these wicks here, but I put it here because it was a nice whole number. It gave me a nice clean stop loss in terms of risk to reward. I had a 10-point risk for a 30-point reward, so a 3-to-1 risk to reward. That gave me a really clear setup. And I entered after we had broken out on the 5-minute and the 1-minute time frame of this downtrend. And we came down and we retested this area, this zone in here that I was watching in support, as well as that downtrend. So let's hop over to the 1-minute and take a look as well. So here's what it looked like on the 1-minute. Right, we had this downtrend. We kind of broke out of it, came down, retested. I got in here. we could not fail, or we could not fail. We were failing and could not break higher than this area right here, like this 18,507, right? We wicked off it once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times before falling down. This candle right here stopped me out. So it stopped me out by about 1 point. Yeah, pretty much exactly 1 point. From there, we did kind of push back up. Never got close to my take profit though before we really came down and formed a new low. So this was my first trade of the day, and this was a loss. This was a $20 loss. I took a 10-point stop loss on that, and my stop loss was hit right here. We did later reverse, so you can see we kind of came down, formed this lower low, and then we came up and made, you know, I guess we didn't quite make a new high, but challenged it. So the idea was there in terms of holding this general zone and making a move back to the upside, breaking this downtrend. They don't always work. Trend lines don't always work. Usually if you have something like a daily trend line and you get break and you hold support, that's a trade that I'm willing to take, right? That's something that I'm not mad at all that I took this. I had my stop in place. I had my target in place. You can see that level on the 1 minute as well, why I was kind of targeting this level specifically. We were holding it as support, broke below, had it as resistance. Now, if I saw us come up and start struggling like somewhere in here, you know, that would have still been over 2-to-1 risk to reward. So I probably would have been happy to take it in there as well if we came up and struggled. But in this little bit of chop in here, you know, I was up, you know, $15 or $16 or so. But that wasn't really what I was looking for. So that was my first trade of the day, got stopped out. Let's head over to ES and take a look at that as well. So my first trade of the day was on NQ. Then I came over to ES, and what was I watching? So actually I had tried to take this trade earlier in the day, and my order just didn't get filled. So I put a order exactly at 5298.5 right there, and it looks like the wick touched it. Why did I put my order there? Because we got a break of this bear flag, right? We were doing the same thing all day. We came rejected off the pre-market high, formed a bear flag, broke. Formed a bear flag, broke. Formed a bear flag, broke. So we had this pattern, right? If you see a pattern and it repeats a couple times, I'll take a bet on that, right? So I tried to take it this initial time. We'll take a look at the 1 minute in just a second. But I got short of my fill by I think like 0.03 cents. I think the top of that wick was actually at like 0.47, and my limit order was 0.5. So I think I was, you know, like a 0.3 of a point off of filling my order for this trade. So that was supposed to be my first trade of the day. I didn't fill, and it happened without me, so I didn't chase. But after taking that losing trade on NQ, I came back and noticed that we were kind of forming a similar situation, right? Like a longer flag. We also were forming lower highs, right? So here's a high, here's a lower high, here's a lower high, here's a series of lower highs. And then once we got this close here on the 5 minute, close below that, on this candle, we came up and retested. And this was my second trade of the day. I entered right at 5297, so I put a limit order right there. My stop loss was about 5298, so a single point above. Actually, I think I gave it a little bit more. My stop loss was 5.59. I am slurring myself. 5298.5. It's right in here. So I gave myself a little over a point and a half stop loss. I had 2 contracts, so that was a $15 stop loss. My first target, I was trying to go for low a day and then hold runners. Let's take a look at the 1 minute. So I entered on this candle here when we came up and retested. I wasn't going to put my stop here, but I wanted to give myself just a little bit more wiggle room, so I put it right in here. Just in case we wicked up and tested this area that we were kind of rejecting off of earlier. I didn't want to get stopped out right before the move happened, so I decided to give myself half a point more and set it right in here. I first took I took 2 contracts. I took one off on this move down. So when we pushed down here, we were kind of at this level that we bounced here and here, as well as kind of in here. So I took 1 contract off here for about a 2-point gain, so about $10. I then set my runner, and we broke down in here, this reversed really quick. So we got this breakdown and then it started to push back up. I set my take profit right here at 5293. That would have been a $20 profit for my remaining runner. And then I set my stop loss for my runner at 5297 initially. Then I moved it down to 5296. And then eventually I moved it down to 5295. So we kind of were chopping around in here. We were half a point away from hitting my take profit. And this is something that I could learn as well for myself. But on the 1 minute, you see how many times did we touch this? We touched it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times on the 1 minute. So 7 1 minute candles failing to break below that, like 52935. I had my take profit at half a point below. I should have just moved it up here and just accepted that. Half a point isn't going to make a difference. You know, it's $2.50 on a contract of MES. So I should have accepted that. Instead, I just gradually kept creeping my stop loss down, fearing that if we got a bounce back, you know, at least I'd get some profit. So I moved it right here, right where you see these wicks kind of in here at that 5295.5. And then I was stopped out here for a modest profit of, I think, $7.50 on that contract. So about 10 and then 7.5. So that brought me to a loss on the day of about $8. I was still down about $8 because I took that initial $20 loss plus contract fees. And then I had about a $10 and then a $7 win. I suppose this probably wasn't quite $10 then if I was down $8. So this is a pretty small win. I should have probably held a little bit longer to hit, you know, that low a day. But ultimately what happened is I didn't get to maximize this trade because this break here, I wasn't able to take profit down there. So that was my second trade of the day. And that had me slightly in the red. And at that time I walked away. I wasn't really seeing any opportunities or things I wanted to trade, but I did come back later in the day and I took one final trade. And this one's kind of funny, right? Let's take a look. So, oh my, that's a mess. We had on the 5 minute chart, I noticed that we were back up into the supply zone that we rejected really heavily off of in the morning on NQ. We came up and we rejected it again, and then we were coming up and we were testing it again. I also drew this support here. So we had this support, and then we were forming kind of like a triple top, right? We could not break above, and we could not break above the daily high either. Once we had these two candles where we broke and closed below this pre-market high that we'd rejected off of as well, when we came up, I think my support was more like that, but when we came up and we tested, I entered one short position here. I took profit at a 10-point move. So I had it somewhere in here from where I took my entry. So I got a 10-point move. My stop loss was a break above this. We didn't have that, luckily. And I had a very conservative take profit of about 10 points. You can see what happened immediately after, right? We dumped hundreds of points. I took profit in here somewhere, and we... Look at this. Dumped like almost 500 points. Over 500 points from my entry. My entry was a little bit above 18,551, I think it was, somewhere in here. Right around that pre-market high. I got a $20 gain. That set me to be positive overall on the day. I had my stop loss. I had my take profit. It hit my take profit. I canceled everything else and just got off for the day. I had no idea this happened immediately after. Within, 10 minutes of me getting off, we just started dropping. Some of these candles are insane. Some of these candles are nearly 100 points in a single candle. Like this right here. What is this? 18,400 to 18,330. 70 points in a single 5-minute candle. So insane. It's comical that I had a short position and I sold it right before we had this happen. Of course I didn't know that was going to happen. I had no way of knowing that was going to happen. I just saw a good opportunity to short because we kind of had a double top, breaking below a key level and retesting. I like my chances. I was just going for a quick scalp to end the day positive. I wasn't looking for all this, but I wish I had a runner or something, because that is insane. I mean, $500, a single NQ contract would have been over $1,000 profit on here if you held through this. That's insane. That's absolutely wild. So I do want to take a look, though. We have some of these levels, and I do want to just show the accuracy. Whoop, that was a bit much. I do want to show the accuracy of some of these, right? So as we break down, look, we get a slight bounce at this level, break down to this level, get a slight bounce, break down to this level, slight bounce, rejection off this level, straight down to the yesterday's low, come up, reject off this level, come down, bounce off this level, come up, retest that level, and continue down. I didn't have any levels to the downside, so but the levels I did have, it reacted pretty perfectly. So I'm happy to see that. I think I've been getting things a little bit more dialed in terms of understanding where I want to put my levels, what to watch. And I think that's reflected in the fact that I've been profitable this week. And as of today, I'm officially profitable since I started trading futures. Barely, by a couple dollars. Nothing to be super stoked on. But the results, are better than when I was trading options. I'm a lot more consistent. I think I'm able to keep my losses fairly small, have a good idea of risk to reward. And yeah, I'm up on my account since I started trading futures. So that's something I'm stoked on. It's only been a couple weeks. Like I said, I don't want to get ahead of myself and proclaim I'm a profitable trader or anything like that. But it is a step in the right direction. And I think I'm getting a little bit more comfortable. I'm really enjoying trading futures. I really like the predictability of knowing exactly what my risk to reward is. I'm excited. It's something that I feel legitimately excited about. So that's all I got for you. Thank you for watching. I do trade live Monday through Friday, so I'll be here tomorrow to close out the week. We'll see what happens after this insanity. And I hope to see you there. Hope you have a great day. Peace.